Well, boys, I got exciting news. New COVID variant just dropped.
COVID.
New covariant. Yeah,
Sorry.
Just dropped, and it's looking like some exciting times. Let's go over the what's going on here. So this is an article from a week ago. I don't know if what it's talking about has anything to do with the new variant, but it seems quite similar. And also, we'll just point out to all of the tactics that the media and governments will be taking going forward, which is that as soon as you get any amount of freedoms back, no. Be very careful. There might be new variants hiding out somewhere.
Wait for Ukraine to be gone first.
Yes, we will, but they're laying the seeds. They've planted everything ready for when Ukraine is done. They can just pop back up with COVID variants. Everybody get back indoors. Stop being so naughty, sharing air with one another. Very awful. So an Omicron-like variant of the virus that causes COVID-19, one that appears to be highly divergent from circulating strains and sticks out on a long branch of the virus's family tree, has been discovered in a population of white-tailed deer in Ontario, Canada, according to a new study. The same strain has also been found in a person from the same area who had confirmed contact with the deer, but there's no evidence of sustained transmission from deer to humans, and it's unlikely to pose an immediate threat to humans. Very strange way of putting it, because if he has the same strain as the deer, that would imply there is some transmission going on there. I don't know what relations he had with the deer. Perhaps it was the monkey AIDS situation from the 80s, but the article leaves that ambiguous.
That's from CNN, who knows?
Yeah, but that's the thing with CNN, with all of these sorts of things. There will always be a new variant and a new strain to worry about, whether it's in people already or if it's just gestating in animals, waiting to burst out. And after that, all of a sudden recently, there has been a new variant popping up, which has been tentatively titled Deltacron, because they don't already sound enough like Transformers. I mean, Deltacron, seriously? A new COVID-19 variant, unofficially dubbed Deltacron because it's a combination of the Delta and Omicron variants, has been detected in a small number of cases in France, the Netherlands, and Denmark, the World Health Organization says. Because there are few cases, scientists don't know much about the variant, such as how easily it spreads and if it causes severe illness. We have not seen any change in the epidemiology with this recombinant. We haven't seen any change in severity, but there are many studies that are underway, whose scientists also noted that the variant will probably spread. Unfortunately, we do expect to see recombinants because of this is what viruses do. They change over time. We're seeing very intense level of circulation. We are seeing this virus infect animals with the possibility of infecting humans again. So again, the pandemic is far from over, because this pandemic will never be over. I mean, potentially, Putin has managed to end it temporarily. He's put a minor buffer on it.
I mean, Black Lives Matter ended it for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's true. This is a very interesting pandemic, is that despite being far from over at all times, it can be put on pause temporarily. The fact that there is not much of it, that even the two cases we saw were different, suggests that it's probably not going to elevate to a variant of concern level. It's only a variant if it produces a large number of cases. So no, if it's not causing lots of cases, people don't need to be concerned. And that's what we're getting from the scientists. You trust the science, do you not, Callum? You're being very hesitant here.
We're on YouTube.
That's true, but you trust the science, right? I'm not being I'm not joking. I mean, come on. You trust the science, and this is what the scientists are saying. Don't panic.
I trust people who are actual scientists and not smear merchants and political actors.
Yes, well, the scientists are saying, don't panic. The Independent is implying otherwise. If we move along, the media have got a hold of this all of a sudden, and now all of a sudden concerns have been raised about a more infectious substrain of the Omicron COVID variant as cases across the UK rise again. The UK was hit by a wave of infections caused by Omicron, also known as BA1, in December and over the new year after it spread from southern Africa, despite infections subsequently falling, prompting Boris Johnson's government to drop all social restrictions in England. By February, Omicron remains the dominant strain of the virus globally. And easily, as we all know, the least concerning variant so far, it can still, obviously, for YouTube, it can still affect people very negatively, but it is the least severe of all of them. And so while the Independent tries to make it sound otherwise, you should stay worried at all times. Omicron is the reason why all of the social restrictions have been lifted, basically, alongside high levels of vaccination. However, the UK Health Security Agency has said that a sublineage of Omicron known as BA2 or stealth Omicron, we've got the sneaky ninja Omicron in now, first discovered in December.
Sorry, just a notice. I haven't seen it on stream as well. John, I don't know if you can get up the article on stream so people can see.
Oh, is it not up
You
there?
want to continue?
Oh, yeah. First discovered in December, is being treated as a variant under investigation. Its chief executive, Dr. Jenny Harris, warns the increasing presence of the BA2 sublineage of Omicron and the recent slight increase in infections in those over 55 show that the pandemic is not over and that we can expect to see COVID circulating at high levels. The Wellcome Sanger Institute has also calculated that the strain accounted for 57% of the 27,000 new cases recorded in England in the last week of February, and is therefore already the dominant version of the virus being transmitted. So I feel it ramping up. I feel it ramping up to calls for lockdown again.
Does the vaccine work?
Well, yes.
Then
Yes, it does, in fact. That's
that's going to be ignored, isn't it?
That's the thing. Well, it was ignored with Omicron.
Yeah.
It was ignored every single time when it's politically convenient to lock down because loads of people are starting to freak out about it as pushed by the media. So it's not currently known whether stealth Omicron produces different symptoms to the version of the coronavirus we've seen so far, but the most common symptoms being reported by patients are runny noses, headache, sore throat, and fatigue. Other common COVID indicators include sneezing, persistent cough, hoarseness, chills or shivers, unusual joint pains, fever, dizziness, brain fog, sore eyes, altered sense of smell, muscle pain, swollen glands, loss of appetite, and chest pain. So all pretty standard symptoms that we're aware of with Omicron. Honestly, I was ill for some of last week. Those were my symptoms. So I think I've probably had this. But I'm fine now. It wasn't particularly serious. Obviously, it can be negative and badly affect some people.
The extreme risk groups.
Yeah, the extreme risk groups and otherwise. But for somebody like myself, or if Callum were to catch it, or anybody else in the office, it's pretty harmless for the most part. Doctors say, so far, there is insufficient evidence to determine whether BA2 causes more severe illness than Omicron BA1, but data is limited, and the UK Health Security Agency continues to investigate. In better news, the agency found no evidence of any difference in vaccine effectiveness against stealth Omicron. So there you go. The vaccines still work. The vaccines are safe and effective. So no need to worry, right? We'll see. We'll see. In its most recent update on 11th of March, the UK government reported that 399,820 people had tested positive for COVID within the last 7 days, a rise of 56.3% week on week, part of a steady increase since the start of March. Although it is no longer legally required for members of the public to wear face masks and observe social distancing in most indoor spaces, it might be advisable to resume those habits in the interest of protecting others from infection. So don't panic, but still panic, right? You need to be on guard because this is stealth Omicron now.
This is corporate media.
It could sneak up on you and just get you by the throat, and who knows what will happen. So in the spirit of such reporting, I thought I would play a little clip from the South Park post-COVID special to kind of let us all know what we'll be in for when they really start to ramp this up once the Ukraine crisis is over. If you'd like to play this for us, John. So that's a nice little taster of what will be happening in the next few months if things go as I'm honestly expecting. I would like to think otherwise. The government has removed the restrictions and all that recently, but honestly, I just have no trust in our governments to do the sensible thing.
To follow the science.
To follow the science, exactly. I have no reason to trust that they will go, well, the vaccines still work, therefore let's just carry on as we have been doing, because cases do not mean hospitalizations and cases do not mean deaths. And I'm sure if you were to tally up the percentage of deaths from Omicron or these new variants, whatever, it's probably going to be very, very low. So, and BBC has asked what are the COVID variants, do vaccines still work? And even they've got it here. Preliminary lab studies found 2 doses of COVID vaccine may not be enough, which is why some countries, including the UK, are giving people extra doses to boost their immunity. Research suggests boosters should provide good protection against even severe illness. UK officials have been keeping an eye on the recent descendant of the Delta variant called AY4.2 or Delta Plus just making South Park come true. Again, Delta Rewards Plus. as well as Omicron, which I can only assume implies that it will also make you go bald, or Deltacron COVID infections that combine Delta and Omicron. So if you have been vaccinated, you should still be fine. And honestly, it should just be your choice up to this point, as it is really. It's your choice whether to get vaccinated. But if you're worried, you can do that and you'll be fine, according to this. Unless, of course, you asked the Pfizer CEO, who says a fourth dose of COVID-19 vaccine will be needed. To help fend off another wave of COVID, people will need a fourth dose, says the chief salesman of COVID vaccines, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla.
God, should I be panic buying toilet paper again?
Maybe. I wouldn't suggest it. Please, for the love of God, don't everybody go out and panic buy. No, just because there will be people. Don't go out and panic buy. Don't even go and prepare panic buy. Everybody just relax. All right? Calm down. Relax. Everything's going to be fine. Okay? Many variants.
It should become a tradition, really.
Why are you at the shops today buying toilet paper, as is tradition?
Every February, we go and buy 10 years worth of toilet paper.
I've still got my stocks from last year, but, you can't miss out.
What accent is this?
I don't know. It's a South Park voice. Oh, hello there, neighbour.
Betty.
Slowly turning Canadian.
Hey.
Screw you, guy. All right, back to it. Okay, many variants are coming, and Omicron was the first one that was able to evade in a skillful way the immune protection that we're giving. Like Omicron's just there, like hiding around the corners, like waiting for the vaccine to pass by or something. The protection we are getting from the third dose is good enough, actually quite good for hospitalizations and deaths. So for that thing that we initiated the lockdowns for in the first place, hospitalizations overwhelming the UK health system, third dose, perfectly fine for that. But my bottom line says we need a fourth dose, stat.
Isn't this the dude that sold all his stock in Pfizer as well and they're tanked? Has he rebrought it? And now he's like, yeah, guys, fourth dose.
This is the CEO. I don't know his current stock situation with the company. I
believe me and Peter went through it. I might be mistaken, but I swear it literally was the CEO that sold all his stock, and then the news came out that Omicron wasn't as bad as it was. Pfizer stock went down.
And he's like, right, bye.
I don't know if he's rebrought, but just... It wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't put it past him, but protection after 3 doses is not that good against infections and doesn't last very long when faced with a variant like Omicron. For a salesman of his own product, he's not selling it very well. In fact, actually, they're not very good at all, is basically what he's saying there. Not that I agree with that or anything. I disagree with that.
I disagree with the Pfizer salesman.
No, actually, your product is good. It's necessary a fourth dose right now. So, once again, you have to ask, does this man have any vested interests?
He's a salesman.
I know, this is something I will put to the audience. I will make no comment. And it's so sad because this is just as things were starting to look up. Sajid Javid posted that on this Friday coming up, the travel restrictions will be lifted. So from Friday, if you're on a plane, no tests and no passenger locator forms, which will be excellent for anybody who's actually looking to, go on holiday or make things a lot easier for you. If you wouldn't mind scrolling down here, John, as you can see, there are the usual types complaining to say, what a terrible idea. That's all very well, but don't you understand? Cases are going up. You lifted restrictions and cases for the incredibly mild variant.
I love that he's included that graph, though. I don't know who this is, but you can see from that graph, New Zealand's surviving it because they're not having the same kind of problems that Hong Kong is. And it's like, yeah, and our island is what, like 80% vaccinated for over 12?
I think 80% for double vaccinated or something like that.
Fine.
Yeah, so we're absolutely fine, but Twitter wants you to panic. And thankfully, it seems that Sajid Javid has regrown a backbone. Shocking for a member of the Tory cabinet.
Come on, we're not giving him that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's true.
Eggman is just a political windsman. He goes wherever it blows.
Yeah. Well, the wind is blowing him in a very particular direction, and it's a good direction this time because the political winds, ever since all of the Partygate came out, seems to have been pushed him in a position of don't be a hypocrite. which, fair play. So he was asked about the newly identified Deltacron variant and said that a handful of cases had been identified in the UK but were not of particular concern. About 0.9% of infections in Britain were of the Omicron variant. He said, "We keep the situation very carefully under review. There's no other variant of concern out there that is an issue at this point in time." Jadid told Times Radio that officials continue to monitor infections, case numbers, hospital admissions and capacities. "We are the most open country in Europe, and that's happened because of the country's approach and the British people's approach to vaccination," he said. I would say it's because the media called him out and Boris out.
Yes, and then all the restrictions collapsed.
And yes, because they didn't really have much of a leg to stand on. But if you want to say that, Javid, it's your...
If you want to cope harder?
If you want to cope like that, you're free to do so. But this is not looking... The people across different elements of the government are not looking at this in the same way. Like in Northern Ireland... And I can only expect this to potentially be something our government takes going forward. The devolved government of Northern Ireland says that their health department wants their powers extended in response to the new variant. Northern Ireland's Health Minister, Robin Swan...
I want lockdowns only in Sinn Féin's areas.
He set out plans to extend his department's power under the Coronavirus Act for another 6 months. Everybody remembers that the Coronavirus Act was passed in 2020 to give the governments the power to initiate lockdowns and forceful restrictions on social gatherings and such. It is due to expire on the 24th this month. So we'll see if they let it expire. He repeated his view that it is important to keep the ability to introduce COVID restrictions if needed, such as in the case of a new variant.
The IRA variant has forced us to bring in these...
It's forced us to lock down all the Protestants.
Catholics.
Catholics, sorry, yeah. However, he acknowledged it would be almost impossible to reintroduce COVID rules in the absence of an executive. The executive, Stormont's devolved government, collapsed last month. I looked into that a little bit. They've had massive sexual harassment allegations that caused the government to collapse. So that's nice to know that the only way to truly get rid of restrictions and COVID rules is for an entire collapse of the government.
Just have a scandal.
Yeah, a massive scandal every single time. A Department of Health spokesman said its minister had stated repeatedly that he does not wish... I really don't want to have to do this to you guys. I really don't want to have to do this to you, man. This
keep making me doing this.
This hurts me more than it hurts you, I swear. Look, officer, she walked into the door frame. It was nothing to do with me. They said that no objections had been raised by other ministers against the extension. So once again, everything's looking all right over in England, but we'll see if they let the powers expire on the 24th, and we'll see what they do going forward from that, because I do not see a position where the government will really let go of any power that they can get their grubby little paws on, personally, but we'll see how it goes moving forwards. But what we need to remember in these trying times is that if the restrictions are put back up, restrictions on work and social gathering, which is that prostitutes will be the most affected. Sex workers and strippers explain how COVID has forced them to gamble with their safety. This is going to be of particularly big interest to Boris Johnson, I imagine. While some people have been able to work remotely during the pandemic, many people's livelihoods depend on in-person contact. Oh, Pink News, bless you. Bless your little heart.
They never heard of a cam whore. like there is a COVID-safe alternative.
I mean, Thomas is going to be furious at me for suggesting this, but there is always OnlyFans, guys. Come on. To make matters worse, sex workers are classed as self-employed, meaning they can't access sick pay or other benefits. The result is that many sex workers are left struggling to make ends meet if they test positive for COVID-19. Ignore.
God, I wish I could play the violin. Just
ignore all of the other self-employed people this also implies to. Won't somebody think of the poor whores?
I know they're hard workers.
Yeah, I'm sure they are very, very hard workers. But they also need to remind everybody that, plus, many strippers, it's not just strippers and prostitutes.
Porn stars as well?
It's queer strippers and prostitutes. So this is also affecting the...
What about BIPOC queer strippers?
Mate, don't even get me started on the BIPOC queers. So many strippers are queer, and a significant portion of the customer base also is. Closing strip clubs down would once again be removing safe spaces for the community due to the high security presence in those venues and the very strict licensing. So you've really got to think of the poor whores. And just another reminder as well that when people are trying to push all of this hysteria and fear, it does lead to mass neurosis in a population. I'm not going to read through this article. I've already gone through this article in a premium podcast, but this is absolutely ridiculous. He's cute, but is he swab worthy? How rapid testing became a dating ritual. And this is just an article that is unironically going through all of the very many ways in which people are so highly neurotic about COVID now that they are ruining their own personal lives. Like some guy having to spend his 41st birthday alone at an art gallery when he was intending to go to a date because like his partner, the person he was intending on going with, got the sniffles. So he's like, well, I may be alone on my 41st birthday, but I'm ever so glad to be vaccinated and even boosted. This is the sort of scenario we found ourselves in. This is the atmosphere that we're living in currently as far as society goes, and the media will not let it go. As long as there are new variants...
she's dodged a bullet, frankly.
Yes, to be frank, yes. But this is the atmosphere that the media want to keep perpetuating, and I'm sure whether or not Sajid, Javid, and the others are all having to be pushed one way by the political winds right now, if the winds blow the other way, you know that they will be more than happy to use new variants as an excuse to lock us all down again.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this one being on how the government controls your behavior by Josh and John. And if you want to follow Josh, you can always follow him at Getter at @Josh_firm. Thank you and goodbye.